Hey everyone, how are you this Saturday? Hope everything is going fantastic with you, and we're so glad that you're here. My name is Derek Clifford. I'm the founder and CEO of Elevate Equity. And here at Elevate Equity, we try to help promote W-2 married professionals achieve financial independence by using a vehicle that they may or may not have heard of before, real estate. And so we're excited to be able to share this exciting topic with you today. Today is power house hacking, okay? House hacking is an awesome term. It's coined by Brandon Turner of Bigger Pockets. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go one step beyond that, okay? So if you're curious, you got to listen in. What house hacking is in general, I'll just start there. House hacking is, let's say that you buy a big house in whatever market that you're in, and then you decide to rent out the rooms. If you do it right, you can have your roommates basically pay for all of your mortgage and expenses and everything related to the property. And so it's one way to really easily get your way into real estate investing in your local market fairly easily. All you got to do is just rent out your rooms, right? But powerhouse hacking is a little bit different. It's a different strategy that I kind of came up with after taking some of Brandon Turner's concepts and kind of like trying to supercharge it once I found out that this was even possible. What it is you buy a fourplex or a duplex or a triplex, okay? And the financing that goes into obtaining those properties is just the same as if you were going to buy a single family house. So let's say that you want to get started in real estate investing, but the properties around you are too expensive. And maybe you own your own home, or maybe you don't own your own home wherever you're living. And let's say, because I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, prices are very, very high. And so one way to kind of counteract that, to be able to get the landlord effect, right, is to buy a duplex or buy something that has multiple units, up to 4 units, because anything up to 4 units is something that lending will allow you to do. Like, you'll be able to use the same financing that you would use to buy a single family home as a fourplex. In the eyes of the lender, it's no different to them. So that's what's really cool. And what is so great about that is that you can get in with only 5% down, just as if you were going to go into another property. And we'll get into a little bit more of the details, but basically, to back up a little bit, there is a difference between being a homeowner and being an investor. So there are different things you have to consider, right? Like, for instance, whenever you're looking to do a powerhouse hack, that means that you're going to be living in that property. So wherever that property is, you got to look at the areas and make sure that it's safe to live there, and that B, you would want to live there, right? Because obviously you don't want to live in there just to live there, because it's 2 years of your life and you don't want to sacrifice any of that, even for real estate investing, because that kind of defeats the whole point of trying to create a better lifestyle with real estate investing, right? So what I would recommend is that you look in areas that are B, C class. And if you guys don't know what that is, let me go ahead and share my screen with you to show you. So from my book, those of you who have read that, probably this is no secret to you, but there are different types of property classes in every market, in California, in Indiana, in Colorado, in Texas, everywhere, right? There's A-class properties, B-class properties, C-class properties, and D-class properties. Obviously, on the A end, it probably doesn't make sense for you to be doing that unless you're further along and you just really want to be in that space. Generally, B and C class multifamily, like small multifamily, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, is usually the way to go if you can wrap your head around living there for 2 years, okay? There's also a tenant class that you kind of have to watch out for. Like, if you know the area in town that maybe is not attractive for you to live there, or you'd feel unsafe, then it's not a place for you to go. But I mean, the cool thing is that you can buy properties in B and C class areas for relatively cheap, no matter where you are in the country. Yes, it does take some money, but let's just take, for instance, this is a fourplex, right? And let's say that the purchase price is $400,000. If you only need 5% down, because that's what banks consider a decent down payment on a private residence, that means that you'd only need to come up with about $20,000, give or take some extra for closing costs and something like that. So maybe $25K to be safe, right? And let's say that each of the units, a fair rental rate would be about $900. That brings you, with 3 tenants, to $2,700, right, inside the fourplex. So for your $20,000 down payment, you'll have $2,700 in income. You'll have a mortgage and probably private mortgage insurance, a PMI, because if you put anything down below 20% on a private residence, usually that's a lot of leverage. So they throw on an extra fee on top of that. And so I've already done the math here. And on a property like this, if you're going to borrow 380K, right, which is the difference between the down payment and the purchase price, your payment will be about $2,000. And then you're going to have taxes, insurance, maintenance, and CapEx reserves that you're going to have to pay for. So you're probably going to be $800 on average every month. So that equates to about $10,000 a year on taxes, insurance, maintenance, CapEx, things like that, right? Obviously, these numbers will change, but in general, you'll have to pay maybe $100 out of pocket if you can keep the other 3 tenants inside the property with you, okay? There's some cool things about doing it this way, which we'll get into a little bit later on as well, which has to do with the long-term game, okay? So this is Power Househacking. This is the very first thing that you would do. So the first thing you do is go in, you buy this fourplex, move in, and spend 2 years there, okay? Then the next step is essentially to move out of that fourplex. When you move out, you keep the property though, okay? And when you keep the property, the next thing that you do is you move into the second fourplex. So this one right here is fourplex number 1. And because it's been appreciating each year about 3%, the value on that is now $425K. You've already paid down about $14,000 for paying the mortgage payment over 2 years. And then you have a new equity stake of about $58K. So you've actually increased your net worth by $58,000. And then in addition to that, you've replaced yourself with a tenant in that 4th unit. So now your total rental income, if it's still at $900, which is conservative because usually rents kind of increase over time, you're going to have $3,600 a month, right? You still have the same mortgage payment, your taxes, insurance, maintenance, your capital expenditures, but now you're going to have a property manager that you can hire, right, to go in there and look at this first fourplex that you bought 2 years ago and that you moved into, and now you're moving out of, right? That one, now your total cash flow is $289. So now you're being paid to own this one that you moved into 2 years ago, and now you're moving into this next fourplex over here. So you can take all the money that you would have saved, right, because or that you would have spent in paying this all yourself, right? If you had a single family house all by yourself, you would have been $2,000 out of pocket every month, but now you're only $100 out of pocket every single month because of this fourplex. So over 2 years, you save up enough to get a down payment for the next one. And after 2 years, the lending institutions, they recognize that you can buy a new private residence in 2 years, and then they won't really bat an eye, basically. But if you move into a fourplex, right, and then try to move 6 months afterwards, lenders might kind of look at that and be like, what are you trying to do here? Like, you're trying to buy like too many private residences all at once. So once you do that, you have your second fourplex, right? And now you just continue that process every single time, every couple of years. So every single couple of years goes by, you're going to be able to, yeah, you're going to get a little bit out of pocket, but you can move up in grade every time you do that because you're accumulating more and more equity. And so this is a really, really cool way to get involved. One thing that I do have to say here, right? So let me take the screen sharing away. One thing that I do have to say here when you're doing this is that, remember, once you move into a fourplex, you're there and you're sharing walls with other people. So that's one thing that you've really gotta understand, okay? So the cons of that is that you're going to be the direct landlord and you're gonna have to address issues inside your property immediately because the people know you, at least when you move into that first one, right? So they know who you are, and even when you move out, if those tenants still stay there in that property, they know who you are and they may be able to bypass the property manager to get to you. So that's one thing that's not so cool. But as you move out and those tenants start moving out, then you can replace them with new tenants that your property manager sources, and then your property manager can handle things directly with them over time, okay? And so you will be living next to your renters, but that also gives you an edge too, because the pros of this are so much more than the cons, because you're going to be building equity, right? Because in the couple of years, if you assume a 3% increase in price appreciation, then you're going to be getting that equity, and you're also going to be paying down your mortgage, and you're also getting experience as a landlord, and you're getting real, practical, hands-on advice and situational awareness on what needs to happen with properties as you have that. The other thing is that it is so low barrier to entry. It's 5% to get into a property like this, right? So whatever the property purchase price is, let's say that you're looking at $1 million house here, or $1 million fourplex here in like the Bay Area, or some nice suburb where you live. Well, for $1 million, 5%, all you need is 50,000, right? And $50,000 sounds an awful lot like an investment out of state into another property or two, or into a syndication. So you can do this by being really, really hands-on, by getting on the same page with your spouse and your family and moving into a fourplex. That's the other thing too, is you're probably going to have to convince whoever you're living with. It's much easier to do this when you're single because you're a lot more mobile and you can move around easier. Because you do have to be living inside that property, right, in order to call it a private residence and get that easy financing, that 5% down. So if you can convince your family and your kids to move in, then it's perfect. So this is what I call a stepped up, souped up version of house hacking that Brandon Turner refers to, where again, you just rent out like some bedrooms in your house. This way you have separate units, and then every 2 years you just keep moving. And the last thing that I really like about this strategy is that you can do it in your local market. So you don't have to go anywhere. You know exactly what properties and what areas you want to be in. So you can go there. You can use this strategy to go ahead and do that. So at that point, it's just a matter of underwriting, making sure you understand the numbers, how much rent you can get to come in, and then working with your lender to figure out what your kind of payments are going to be and how much you'll save, and just putting together a good strategy and talking with your local real estate agent to try to find a way to do this. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, I would highly recommend David Green, because he is specifically focused on doing this and finding this type of situation where the numbers work out a lot better for their clients. So that being said, you guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. Go to our website at elevateequity.org. We have tons of tools there for you and for many people that you know that are married, professional, busy people. We really want to make sure to help get you into real estate investing and start setting up your passive income streams, okay? So if you have any questions, please like, subscribe, comment on the comments below here. We definitely want to hear from you and any questions that you have. And thank you so much for watching today's Saturday stream. You guys have an awesome weekend and take care. Bye-bye.